morning, everyone, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak on this project that is so important to the lake. And to start with, I'd like to recognize some of the people that are participating in the committee that regularly meets. I'd like to recognize Dave Wick and Randy Rath and Beth Gillis, and also Chris Nowitzki. I've been doing a literature research and putting together this model plan in conjunction with our meetings with the group. So we try to come to a consensus on this and move forward. But I got involved a couple of years ago to pick up the work that Dewey Amsler, who was a retired DOT engineer, and Dewey passed away. He was working on this project, and I was contacted by the group to see if I would pick up that work and try to bring this to something that would be of assistance to the local highway departments. The first thing that I did was I basically conducted a literature research. There's a lot of information out there, as you've been made aware this morning, on snow and ice control. And I haven't come up with anything that's new. What I've done is I've taken a look at multiple publications to include the Highway Maintenance Guidelines, Chapter 5 from DOT. I've looked at some work done by the Cornell Local Roads Program, which Dewey was also involved with. There's a snow and ice control training outline and checklist. Then they have their snow and ice control manual. I also looked at some stuff that was prepared by the SALT Institute, the University of New Hampshire, the Army Corps of Engineers Cold Weather Research Facility over in New Hampshire, and also looked at some information that was put together by the Transportation Association of Canada. Looked at some stuff from the Midwest states, and there's much information, but what I've tried to do is to look at how a highway superintendent could use this information and how could it help him. What we have done is we have conducted meetings with some of the highway superintendents, and this is something that I think that a highway superintendent could have on his bookshelf. And this is good reference material. What we've tried to do is to actually collate all that information into a manual that I would say is something that he would want on his desk. This is something that you probably would be into on a routine basis, probably be something that's dog-eared and marked up. And this is a specific plan for each individual highway department. So why should we develop this plan? First, to organize and commit to print what you already do. You talk to any highway superintendent, and you say, how do you start your snow and ice season? And he'll tell you. He knows what he's got to do. He knows when he's going to do it, and he knows how long it's going to take him. Well, as you look at the practices of that over the course of the winter, take and put that in print and have it become your reference material so that you can use that to train your operators, and it sets a benchmark of your winter operations. The next thing is, as part of the plan, one of the most important questions we ask the local municipality is, what's your level of service? What do you expect your roads to look like 6 hours after a storm ends, 12 hours, 24 hours? And that's really going to dictate how you approach your snow and ice. You're obviously going to identify your travel corridors. What's your priorities out there? You're not going to treat every road alike, but what roads do you need to keep open for fire, police, ambulance? What do you need to do for your school bus routes? And we tailor that to fit the individual community. You also have people that years ago, I remember of not only driving on snow-packed roads, I remember of sliding on them. Times have changed. Since 1980, with the recognition that the North Country has got from the Olympics, the I Love New York campaigns, the tourism dollars that are spent in county budgets, we have more people not only living in the North Country, but they want to live here year-round. When I was much younger, I could tell you one person that I live in Warrensburg. I could tell you one person that commuted from Warrensburg to Albany. I'll bet you everybody here has friends that drive to Albany and the Capital District to go to work. They expect to get up in the morning, and they expect the roads to be bare, and they expect to drive 70 miles an hour to get there because they don't want to spend another minute on the road than they have to. I don't know if that's a fair expectation, but that's things that the highway superintendent has to look at. So those are decisions that can be made at the local level. What are the needs in your community, and how do you want your highway department to respond to that? The other thing that the plan can help with is budget preparation. If the superintendent has got a plan, part of that plan should be, what do I need for equipment? What do I need for manpower? And what do I need for material? And you can use that to your advantage when you're sitting there going through your budget presentation with your local board. The next thing that I'd like to emphasize is why we're all here today is how can we reduce salt usage in the environment. Hopefully this plan will get you to review your current practices. And we know that from past experience, if we put this much salt down, that within this amount of time, the road is safe and we can continue with our daily lives. I heard one of the presentations talk about measuring, so important. We need to quantify what it is we're doing, and then we need to look at, are there areas where we can tighten up our use of salt and help with saving the environment? We need to have the latest in tools and gauges and sensors, and through that information, you're going to control application rates. In talking with the fellows at Warren County, one of the things that they have done is they have used a chart. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, there's some handouts that are on your tables that have to do with some of the, it's got to do with the outline in the model ordinance that we're putting together, and I'm just hitting a few of those chapters to highlight what we're doing. And then the other one shows how we're putting together the equipment and the routes that are in each community. And then on the back of one of them is this salt sheet. And what the county is doing, and something that we're recommending to the towns, is here's a starting point for salt usage. What they're doing with their highway foreman is they have got sensors in their trucks when they're on patrol to measure different the air temperature, the road temperature. You're looking at the weather reports, and it may indicate that it's time to do something different with your salt application. So this is something that we would like to see in every truck that could assist the superintendent and assist his operators in how they're applying salt to the road. I'd just like to emphasize that we need to have safe roads. We need to use best management practices. We need to use enough salt without having the overkill. We're already looking at alternative materials and methods, and our goal is to achieve that level of service that is going to be set by the individual municipalities with hopefully using less salt. The other thing that we've included is this is where we need to support our highway superintendent. We all have the same goal in mind, but the law is very clear that it's the highway superintendent who's responsible for those safe roads. Is there anybody here that has ever been involved in a wrongful death suit? Has anybody had to testify in court or at an examination before trial involving a claim because of improper snow and ice procedures? I see a couple. Well, I've had to do that, and it's a very sobering experience. And what we need to do, and what I think this plan can do, is it can also assist the highway superintendent and the local municipality in being able to provide a better understanding of what practices you're employing in your snow and ice operation. We've got the science supports what we're trying to do, and if we have the changes in technology that will assist us in what we're trying to do, and if we commit this to print, and it becomes our accepted practice that is ratified by your local boards, then that gives the support to that highway superintendent to use less salt out there. I remember of sitting and being cross-examined, and there was not one question about the environment. And that's sad, but that was the reality of it. They wanted to know what we did, why we did it, are we doing things differently than we did before? So I also think that in balancing what we're doing with the environment, that if we put together a plan that can be developed to be the standard operating procedure, once again, based on science, based on best management practices, we can also provide that support to our local highway superintendents as they turn the dial down on their equipment to use less salt. But that's what we're trying to do in a nutshell. We're ready to go with our plan to the town of Lake George, and we're very close to being able to present our plan to the town of Bolton, and we'll be working with other municipalities around the Lake George Drainage Basin to give them a chance to get on board with a model plan as well. Any questions? I skimmed over a lot of information, but that's what we're doing. And Chris?
Yeah, Bill, is it a requirement to have one of these to reduce your liability as a municipality? I mean, if you're ever in one of these, hopefully you never are, but if you are in one of these question and testimonies, isn't that one of the first questions you get, and doesn't that help your municipality?
It's not a requirement, but it's certainly a valuable tool, and I'm sure that if you review this with the town attorney, county attorney, they would certainly support something like that. Other questions? I'll be around for a bit. If you've got questions, I'd be glad to discuss any of this with you. If there's any highway superintendents within the drainage basin or even outside the drainage basin that would like some of this information, please let me know.